This is SWBC Mortgage's Cowboys Crosstalk.
Check this out.
Broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco. Brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by SWBC Mortgage. Customized solutions to help you meet your personal and business goals. Visit SWBC.com. Now, your host, Shannon Gross.
By Nate Newton. I'm joined somewhere in the Metroplex by representing 105.3 The Fan, Eric Chiafalo. How you doing, Eric?
Fantastic, gentlemen. How's it going?
Going great. And then also somewhere in the Metroplex, my current co-worker, former Dallas Cowboy, special teams ace, former Chicago Bear, former safety, so we get to talk defense tonight, Danny McCray.
Oh, man. Hey, appreciate the warm welcome, man, but you made it sound like I'm getting fired. I'm your current co-worker? like something's happening in a couple of weeks.
Yes. Well, welcome to Cowboys Crosstalk. We're normally on Wednesday night, but we have moved to Monday because the show is so great. The Fan wanted to kick off your week right and moved us to Monday so we can.
We got flex, baby.
So we got flex. We got flex in the prime time.
Yeah.
And Danny, you are our first guest, and Eric, you are our first fan representative to be in this new Monday night spot. So you guys should feel honored, and we got a lot to talk about.
I'm
because
glad
guess
it's in
what?
a sitcom.
Guess what, Nate?
Yes.
Cowboys are going to the playoffs, baby.
Oh, I'm not doubting
All
that.
they got to
I'm not
do is
doubting
win
that.
two.
I'm not doubting that, man.
The football
That's all they gotta
team. The football team loses two. We win two. We in. We win four to close out the season. We got some momentum. Going to the Super Bowl. We're going to Tampa. What you think about that, Eric? Possibility?
Oh, man, I really want to get on that Super Bowl hype train, believe me. But, hey, I'll tell you what, the playoffs could happen right now. All we need is Washington to not win another game, and the Cowboys got two winnable games coming up. If they're able to force some turnovers like they have the last couple of weeks, you got a rookie quarterback, Jalen Hurts, and then you follow it up with the Giants with Daniel Jones, unless it's Colt McCoy. But assuming Daniel Jones is starting, we all know that he's pretty turnover prone as well. So, hey, there's a chance, boys.
There's a chance. And so, Danny, back to you. I cut you off a little bit because you were talking about getting fired and all that nonsense. So I didn't want to hear that. So now, coming back to you, tell us before we get your opinion on playoffs, tell us what you're doing. Are you living in the Dallas-Fort Worth area? Are you somewhere else? What are you doing for work? What's going on? I think you got some stuff that's going on in your personal life that's kind of a big deal the last couple of months. Catch us up. Catch us up to speed, man.
Of course you know all this. So for everybody who doesn't know, so now I'm working back with the Cowboys. I'm running a youth camp program. So every camp that you see at AT&T Stadium and in Frisco at the Star, I'm heading that up. Our cheerleading camps, DC R&B camps, and our football camps. I'm the guy. So that's what I'm doing work-wise. I also do a Players Lounge podcast every weekday at 2:30 from 2:30 to 3:15.
So who's the players?
Just me and Barry Church.
Church told me about you. You must know it all. You must know it all. Yeah, Church, that's my boy. Yeah, that's what Church said. Hey, man, tell Craig you don't know it all. Okay, you don't know it all. Church know it all.
That's how we start.
I'm just joking.
Nah. And just recently, September 22nd of 2020, me and the wife had our first little one, little Zoe Ann McCray. So she'll be 3 months and 2 days.
Sweet,
so
man.
So exciting times here. Exciting times.
That is awesome, man. That is you look too well rested to have a 3-month-old in the house.
I got a coffee machine.
Okay.
Man. I do all the flavored coffee and all that now. Anything to keep me up and keep me attentive, I'm good. So coffee's working.
Congratulations, man. Congratulations. So, what's your take? You've been keeping up. You're on the second best podcast on DallasCowboys.com, right behind Hanging with the Boys, which Nate Newton and myself happen to be on. So, congratulations for being the best of the rest. But what is your take on the Cowboys the last two games? Is it just an example of a bad team beating two teams that are worse than them? or are they actually starting to figure this thing out on defense and click a little bit and getting a little momentum and starting to spend some time together in jail? What's your take on that?
Listen, I sound like a big enough hater on the players' lounge, so I'm going to come in just a little lighter on this one. Because although we're being realistic, yes, we have beat some bad teams. We beat the Bengals without Joe Burrow. We beat Nick Mullins, and Morstead went out, and we couldn't stop the run. We've gotten lucky a few times at a few places where some very important players on the other teams ended up getting hurt, and it helped us out. I do say this. When you're playing the game of football, you have to adjust, and you have to beat the team that's out there. So all props to the Cowboys for doing that. But they've hurt my feelings enough at the beginning of the season. So, I'm not hopping on the Super Bowl train right now, but it is a possibility for us to make it to the playoffs. And I guess as long as it's a possibility, you got to go out there and you got to play hard and see how the chips fall.
So you saying that turnovers is luck?
No.
Okay.
No. No. The turnovers aren't luck. Okay. I'm saying who we're getting the turnovers from happen to be guys who hand it over. and Nick Mullins ended up having to throw the ball so much because they ended up going to their third string running back. Their first string and the second string running back was giving it to us. And it was a big pause that happened, and all of a sudden you see Nick Mullins come out there. He had to do something that he's not used to, and he gave us the ball, and we capitalized on it. So all props to us on the defense because those things are hard to come by. So not taking anything away from it, that's just how the game fell. So when you talk about the Super Bowl, I don't think that'll continue to happen as if you make the playoffs and if you continue to play teams like the Saints and the Packers.
Crushing my hopes and dreams.
George Bush South. 635 East, 20 East.
Where we going?
Where are you going with
this?
Then
we go all the way down to 48, 98.
Where are you going?
You catch 10.
What are you doing?
Then 10, yeah. You catch a little bit of 10. Then you jump on 75, take you straight into Tampa.
Hey, that's how we gonna get there in a car.
Nate, that's your neighborhood, man. That's your old stomping ground. So you know how to get there. Can the Cowboys get there?
Yeah. And the way Eric is pumped up about this, and the way we've slowly changed Danny McCray's thinking, we're on our way, man.
Okay, let me ask you this: Can they win?
What?
Can they at least win the last two games of the season against the Eagles and the Giants?
If Wentz was quarterbacking, I would say yes. But Wentz is not quarterbacking.
So you don't think so?
I don't know what's going to happen, man. I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't.
What about you, Eric? You think that they can win out? And that's what, coach, and that's what all the players are talking about. We can control what we can control. We're not worried about everybody else. Win out, at least, you're going to trash your draft pick, and everybody's going to kill us for that. But at least, as former players, Danny, you and Nate, I know how you feel about it. You win the games you can win, and you build momentum, and you never want to lose a game no matter what. So, Eric, do you think they can win these last two?
It's certainly possible. I think it really comes down to turnovers for this team. I think we've seen that plenty throughout this season, even early on when we were still relatively healthy. The turnovers cost you some games. But then now recently, you're forcing a bunch of turnovers, and the offense has been taking care of the ball. I think that's really the one big stat to point to, especially when you're looking at these are two division games. So you know the Eagles very, very well, even though they have a new quarterback that's going to bring some challenges there, especially on the ground. Jalen Hurts looked really nice yesterday, even throwing the ball against Arizona. So he's going to bring some challenges. I'm with Nate where, if it was Carson Wentz, I'd feel much better about it the way he's been giving the football up this year. So, but to assume that this team, who just won back-to-back games for the first time since the last season, is about to string together another two, which would make it 4 in a row, it's certainly not something I would bet on. But I think the big key is just, are they forcing turnovers? Is this something that this defense is starting to do now? Or, like Danny was saying, is it just a product of the two crappy teams and quarterbacks that you were just playing? I think we'll find out over the next 2 weeks, but that's the big thing. Are you taking care of the football, and are you forcing some turnovers? To me, that's the only way the Cowboys can win these next two games.
Danny, I'm going to ask you because Nate doesn't know anything about turnovers. He has no idea how to create them, how to give them up.
Yes, I do.
He doesn't know anything about that because he spent his life on the offensive line.
In college, I was all MEAC defensive tackle. Bro.
Is that right?
So I played some defense, and I caused some turnovers, and I played against the University of Miami. And played against some big studs and handled my own.
Go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but anyway, Danny McCray, the question was asked.
Yeah, because you know what, Nate, you're a co-host on the show, and you're not the special guest like Danny McCray is. So Danny, let's talk about turnovers. Can you teach turnovers? I think that's the big question. And then, what have you seen for them the last 2 weeks that are creating these turnovers?
I mean, you can't teach them. You can work on them throughout practice, and you can get used to working those techniques and make that second habit for when you go in there and try to rake the ball out when you're rushing. Make sure you're hitting the arm on the sack force fumble versus just getting the sack. So you can work on those things throughout the week and throughout the season to help you and help that become second nature. Some of the interceptions that I've seen, I think that they've been some really, really good plays of players taking advantage of things that they possibly seen on film. If you've seen Anthony Brown in the game on Sunday, they closed the formation, so he was lined up on the tight end. So once his guy didn't go out, he was able to what we call Ed Read, to where you just go out there and you roam and you read the quarterback eyes, and you're able to go out there and make a play. So if you see it, he had no responsibility on that play, so he was just out there to make a play. And the quarterback didn't see him as the backside corner, and he went out there. He made a big interception for the team, and it helped propel us to a win. So I think some of the studying and some of the positions that Mike Nolan can put them in will help us get those turnovers, and has been helping us get those things. And then some of it is just some big-time players making big-time plays, like DeMarcus Lawrence going out there and just saying, hey, this is my game, this is my time, and I'm going to cause a turnover. And then also, like I said in the beginning, sometimes you get lucky. You get a butt fumble every once in a while, like Cincinnati did. So turnovers come in bunches, and it's a true thing. So you can learn it, you can work on it, but sometimes it's just guys going out there and say, I'm gonna make a play.
All right, I'll tell you what. Let's take our first break. Nate, when we come back, I want to get your opinion on turnovers, since you said you used to play some defensive end. A lot of people probably didn't know that. So
I'd probably be going to the Hall of Fame if I played defense.
You think? Were you a better defensive player than you were offense?
I ran 4 trade nothing, man, in the 30s.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about that when we come back.
We got to do that.
Danny, I want to talk to you about C.J. Goodwin, because he's a special teams guy that's being really special right now. He just seems to be one of those guys that's just around the ball. I want to get your opinion on what you're seeing. And then, Eric, Eagles, got to talk about Eagles eventually. So
yes, sir.
We'll get to that.
The green shirt, we should.
Ooh.
It's a Christmas shirt. It's a little Feliz Navidad, baby.
All right, we'll talk about all that and a lot more when we come back. You're listening to Cowboys Crosstalk on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
SWBC Mortgage's Cowboys Crosstalk.
Yeah, check this out.
Broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
Back to the show. Shannon Gross live in studio at the Star from the SWBC Mortgage Studio with Nate Newton, my co-host on Hanging with the Boys on DallasCowboys.com. Eric Chiafalo from 105.3 The Fan. What are you laughing at, Nate?
I purposely put my head up in here because as big as your head is, sometimes I feel left out, so I try to get as close as my hand so my head be the same
Stop,
size.
Nate. This is a radio show.
Okay,
Not
I'm sorry.
everybody's watching this on DallasCowboys.com, so they don't know what you're talking about. And I don't have that big of a head. Y'all exaggerate. It's normal for my body size.
Okay.
No comment.
Stop it. And our very special guest, Danny McCray. Danny, did you know at SWBC they have customized solutions for individuals and businesses, and they're just a click away? You should go, not now, because you need to pay attention for this segment because we have questions for you. But during the break, you should go and visit swbc.com to learn more and start your next adventure.
I'll do that.
Okay.
Thanks, Shannon.
You're welcome. You're welcome. What's that picture on the wall behind you there, Danny? That's a off-season award winner?
Yeah, it's an off-season award winner for, guys who came in the off-season and proved their talents and proved their strength and showed up and showed that they were leaders in the locker room. So I got a couple of those.
Why is that on your wall?
Because it's mine.
Are you on that picture?
It was given to me. I'm on that picture. And actually, while I'm at it, if you check this out, I had me a parking spot, reserved for. And you see it?
Nice,
award
Danny.
Winner. Yeah,
very
absolutely
nice.
Mine.
Very nice. And you got it framed, and that's a nice little keepsake. What'd you get an off-season award for?
So when Coach Wojcik was there, what we did was we had guys for like OTAs and all that stuff. It would start in March before OTA. So when you had guys that would show up consistently and they tested at the beginning, and then at the end you test again, and you showed up consistently, improve your times, and showed that you were putting in the work to get that done, then your teammates and your coaches voted to see who would win those awards. So if you see behind me, it's DeMarcus Ware, Sean Lee, Jason Hatcher, Jason Witten, Gerald Sensabaugh, Doug Free, Tony Romo, and Miles Austin up there. So I'm up there with some pretty big guys. So it was an honor to be labeled as that.
That's
so
cool, man.
I like that, and I want to say congrats to Eric, because he got his weight belt around his waist, so he's been working out too. When he get up out of
you saw that? Gosh, dang it! I was not trying to get that scene. That's bad back alert right there, Nate. That's bad back alert, bro.
Is something else now. I'm telling you.
Trying to get some push-ups in the break, man.
Eric,
Nate got all the jokes.
I tell you what. When you get him to stop being the football guy and have a little bit of fun, Nate's a fun guy.
Yeah. I was the prankster on my team, me and Kevin Gogan.
Hey, we had fun. Nate was on the nosebleed seats the other night. Nate, we had a good time, man. We had a little football Friday fun there.
Yes, we did, man.
Wow.
Yeah, I try to spread the love, man. When you big and fat as Nate is, it's a lot to give
lot to go around. Eric, before we move on to the Eagles, let's talk a little bit more about San Francisco. What positives did you take out of that game?
I think certainly Tony Pollard's presence was felt. The explosive nature that he brings to the offense, that skill set, especially when it comes to your skill position players, you can't have enough of it. And the Cowboys have shown they got it at the wide receiver spot. And yesterday, for maybe the first time all season, you had the back that was in there majority of the time. That was the home run hitter, and that felt really, really nice. So big ups to Tony Pollard and what he did, especially that game clincher at the end. That was that was outstanding. I think a couple other things. Kellen Moore was really impressive today, and there's been a handful of games that you could point to this year and say, wow, Kellen Moore. Some of these play designs felt like he got more creative. I don't know if it was because Tony Pollard was in the game majority of the time, but it felt like, especially when they got into the red zone, there was just a couple of things you hadn't seen before this year. That was really, really nice. So, and then of course the defense and the special teams get forcing the turnovers for sure. I think CeeDee Lamb, that was obviously a huge play, and he made big plays in the offense as well. He's got a couple of drops that needs to get cleaned up, but overall, especially for a rookie, love what you see from CeeDee Lamb. And then the offensive line in general, I felt like was they're starting to click a little bit. And Nate, you could probably shed more light on that as well. But these young youngsters coming together with Connor McGovern and Connor Williams even. I think you've seen some improvement from Steele. So there's been some positive stuff there as well. But my guy that I love, and Danny, I would love to get your thoughts on this guy because he plays the same position as you, and I think he's also a beast on special teams. But that Donovan Wilson, man, I've really enjoyed watching him play. He's been, this year, probably my personal favorite player on the team. Every year it kind of changes, but he was a surprise guy that didn't even start early on in the year, and he's shown up, and it just seems like the guy makes plays. Every time he's on the field, he's just a magnet to the football. He plays defense the way you're supposed to play it, which is just like a savage, and when he comes to hit you, he's bringing everything he's got, and he's the most sure and consistent tackler. It's not even just that he's the hardest hitter, but you're always going to the ground, too. Like open field, he's great in the open field making tackles, so I love what I've seen from Donovan Wilson this year.
Yep. Danny, go ahead.
Yeah, no, he's been great, and you were hearing whispers coming out of camp that this guy was making plays out there, and then we were kind of wondering why he wasn't getting more playing time. But you see that when he gets out there, he's showing that he has something to prove. He's playing with a chip on his shoulder, and you see that when you see him running the alley, coming down, making those big hits, causing fumbles. That guy has something to prove, and he's playing like it. So I think he's showing some real heart out there, and the fact that the more you can do, right? He plays special teams as well, so he's making himself a valuable asset out there for next year when these guys start looking for who's going to be on the roster, who's going to be starting, and who's going to get a chance to be out there playing for the majority of the snaps on defense. So I think that was great. And you talk about us protecting the ball and us turning the ball over. That has been impressive, especially over the last couple of weeks. We've been able to do that. As you see, that was one of our Achilles heels at the beginning of the season. We had fumbles. We had interceptions. We couldn't keep the ball. We were making mistakes on special teams, and I think we've cleaned up a lot of that stuff. So those are all positives going into there. I think one thing that I would really like to see is if Zeke comes back, I want to see him get some of that creativity that Tony Pollard got from Kellen Moore, where you pass him the ball quick, get the ball in his hands, and let him see what he can do with it. And all season I've preached that I want to see Zeke and Amari Cooper be the focal points of this offense. And I just think that sometimes we forget that Amari Cooper is on the field. And I think the thing that will lead us into the playoffs, and if we want to make a real run, is getting that guy involved, because he changes the game when you do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's amazing is the fact that every team is very, very explosive on a consistent basis have that guy either coming out of the backfield, but they have that receiver. And it's for the life of me, I'm trying to figure out why Amari does not have that those opportunities. That to the point where it's sad. You give him $20 million, and then you have him blocking for another guy.
And then bring Noah Brown in to get him more targets.
That was bad yesterday.
To me, I'm saying, and we talked about it this morning with Jesse Holly. I mean, that don't make sense. Michael Irvin was our guy, and we found ways to make sure Michael Irvin got the proper targets at the right times. If you're not giving the ball to your best players in the biggest of times, like we gave it to Tony Pollard, that run for 40 yards. If you're not using these guys like I don't even comment on Zeke no more, because I don't know if Zeke good or bad or whatever, because you don't do, like you said, you don't do the same things. So if you're not going to do the same things, I might as well lump him in there with everybody else. So that's good what you just said there. That is very good.
Well, question. I know, Shannon, you the host. I do want to ask.
Hey, no. You go. This is your show. You are the special alumni guest. You can do whatever you want on this show. Makes my job easier.
Because I feel the same way about Zeke. That's why I mentioned, when Tony Pollard got in, then all of a sudden you started seeing this creative stuff and them finding ways to really get it in his hands. The whole first drive was Tony Pollard's drive. And I'm saying if Kellen can find a way to do that with Tony Pollard, then he can find a way to do that with Zeke, and he can find a way to do that with Amari Cooper. And it makes me wonder if they don't believe that Zeke has the same skill set as Tony Pollard. And we've seen Zeke be able to do this stuff, so I know he can. And it's perplexing to me. And like I feel like Nate, like what is really going on? Because that Kellen can call these plays and get these players involved, but what you see game in and game out is just not happening.
Eric, what's your opinion on Kellen Moore and the play calling, the whole body of work this season?
For the most part, I think Kellen Moore has been a bright spot. I understand what you guys are saying in terms of, especially yesterday, not getting Amari Cooper involved and having Noah Brown getting more targets than Amari Cooper. That'll never, ever make sense to me. Now, I don't know that we've seen that a ton throughout this season. I think Amari Cooper's been one of these guys that, I mean, we just got the Pro Bowl voted out, and I was surprised that maybe Amari Cooper didn't make the list. I know we got a ton of great wide receivers in the NFL, but Amari Cooper's had a really strong season. Yesterday was one of those weird games where it just seems like they were not trying to get him the ball, and so that was frustrating. But in general, I think Kellen Moore's done a nice job this year, and it's been tough on him because of the lack of talent on the offensive line. You're trying to hide your quarterback at times, especially when you got Ben DiNucci in there, you got a young Garrett Gilbert, so you're trying to do things differently. Obviously, the offense would look totally different, and I think Kellen Moore would call it a lot more with probably being less conservative if you had the offensive line, if you had all the weapons, and, of course, Dak Prescott. So, but in general, I think Kellen Moore's been strong this year. I don't have a ton to complain about. And when it comes to getting Zeke involved, I mean, fellas, are you guys not seeing the same thing that I'm seeing in terms of, I know, Danny, we've seen Zeke do it in the past. I mean, when he was in college, his rookie year, part of his second year, but I don't think that's the same Ezekiel Elliott anymore. I don't think he doesn't look like a natural pass catcher to me, like Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard played wide receiver in college, so he's obviously cut from that cloth. I don't think Zeke out of the backfield looks overly natural. And he certainly doesn't have the same level of explosion. There was a play that they threw to Tony Pollard right at the line of scrimmage, and he went and got 30 yards on it. And I thought to myself, as soon as I saw that play, Zeke maybe gets 15 out of that. And I just, I mean, Nate, if you disagree, please.
No. Okay.
Hey, hang on. Let's go to break because Zeke is Nate's guy. He has been his guy all year, and I know Nate's got
since he got here. I drafted Zeke. I did the work on Zeke. Right.
He's got a lot to say about this. I don't want to cut him short. I want you to have plenty of time to talk about this. And, Danny, I want you to have plenty of time to defend your position on what's been happening. So let's take our next break. When we come back, let's get into a little Zeke talk. We'll get to the Eagles eventually.
Philadelphia game is when this coach start coaching better. Okay, Philadelphia. Count the games back while in this break. Thank you. For Kellen Moore.
Okay, do that, Nate. Danny, go count.
No, I'm talking to Eric.
Oh, Eric, you go count. Okay.
I'm going to make your nose bleed.
All right. We're going to take our next break. We will be back. You are listening to Cowboys Crosstalk on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
SWBC Mortgage's Cowboys Crosstalk.
Yeah, check this out.
Broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
Might need to grab my microphone if I'm going to do this. This is radio, not a podcast. I'm used to doing these on WebEx and not having to use a mic. Oh, Shannon Gross here live at the SWBC Mortgage Studio in Frisco, Texas, alongside Nate Newton, alongside socially distanced with plexiglass in between us. Danny McCray, our very special guest and Cowboys alumni player today of the Players Lounge podcast on DallasCowboys.com. I want to get into that a little bit later, too, because
the second best podcast.
The second best podcast on DallasCowboys.com, next to Hanging with the Boys. And then Eric Chiafalo from the nosebleed seats on 105.3 The Fan. And I want to ask you before we get into – I got a couple of questions for Nate. Zeke's going to be one of them. I want to talk about the offensive line. But, Eric, how do you feel about us invading you and Zach's space? Used to be for an hour every Wednesday. Now they moved us to Monday, and we're still in your time spot. Is there some angst right here that we need to deal with before we continue the show? Or are you guys okay with sharing an hour of your program with us once a week? Or what's going on?
I think my co-host Walchuk might have been a little bit upset about it. He was probably a little bit more angry about it. But then he got on with you guys and he was like, you know what, that Shannon's pretty awesome. He's got a pretty incredible beard. And then he was like, man, that Nate Newton's pretty special. And I don't know who the guest you guys had on the night that Walchuk was on with you, but I know it was a Cowboy legend. And Walchuk has the Blue Star flu, if you know what I'm saying. So he's got no problem kicking back and listening to you guys for an hour each and every Monday or Wednesday, whatever it may be. We're happy to have you boys.
Awesome. And then you guys are on right after us tonight, right?
Yes, sir.
What are y'all talking about tonight? Do y'all know yet?
We might just wing it, I think maybe talk a little Cowboys, maybe a little football
like
in general.
Coordinator, right?
Oh,
just wing it, right? I understand. Yeah. Wing it.
Hey, listen, Nate, I'll be honest with you, Nate. There were times, particularly early on, like it felt like when Dak went down, and it seemed like the offense became much more conservative for a little while. And I don't know if that was Mike McCarthy coming down to Kellen's office and saying, hey, this is kind of the direction I want us to go here, or if that was all Kellen's doing. But there have been times, and I'm curious if you feel the same way in terms of the persistent running on the early downs, the 1st and 10 run where you get 1 yard, or it's now 2nd and 9 and we're running the ball for 1 yard. Setting yourself up for 3rd and long is not something that I have enjoyed from Kellen Moore. And I know particularly early on, once Dak went down, they were trying to find their footing, find themselves offensively, and that was certainly something that I was not overly – I didn't really like about the offense. But I think as of late, and you mentioned the Eagles game, there's been sort of a turnaround. I think as a whole for the season, especially when you look at the ingredients he's had to work with, I think Kellen Moore's done a decent job. Would I like to see more pre-snap motion? Would I like to see an innovative rushing attack like you saw from Kyle Shanahan and the Niners, and using a fullback and doing all these different things where you have Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith's eyes their heads are spinning. They don't know where the ball is. I would love to have that in this offense, but based on what they do, I think Kellen's done a decent job this year.
And what I mean by that is you got a guy come from Texas A&M, a right tackle. He's been playing poorly. You open up a game. Now, Norv Turner, and I'm not saying that he's Norv Turner because he does not have that experience yet. But when I'm a right tackle and I'm going against Reggie White, okay, that's what that kid from Cleveland was. That was Reggie White to him. We didn't start the game. We waggled, we booted, we put tight ends over there. They gave me a chance to get a rhythm before Reggie White tossed me on my neck. They didn't even get his dude no help. I'm like, come on. Did Atlanta not teach you anything? Mm-hmm. You don't make the same mistakes over and over and over and over. You help your players by not killing their confidence, but by building their confidence. You got Amari Cooper standing out there like underdog. Oh, beware of underdog's hair, okay? But I'll stand out here, all right, waiting to be tossed a bone. You got Zeke in the backfield. You're not innovative with him. So what I'm saying is he finally adjusted in the Philadelphia game, like, okay, we have to adjust to what we have on our offensive line, our backfield. We should never be held with CeeDee Lamb in the slot. It's nowhere in the world that we should ever be stopped. Not with CeeDee Lamb in the slot. Now, if this was Cobb from last year, yeah. But with CeeDee Lamb, never. Because you got dogs on the outside. You got dogs on the outside. And I'm not talking about with Ben DiNucci. No, that didn't work. That was a blow-up. And I'm not talking about even with the kid who I like, Gilbert. Mm-hmm. But one-side quarterback who is in there now and the dog, we should never be stopped. I don't care if we do play a number 1 rated defense, we should never be stopped. Now, we may not get in the red zone and score. We may get 3 instead of 6. But we should never be stopped. Not with these receivers. Amari Cooper is elite. Do I sometimes like, where's Amari? Is it the coach's fault? Is it his fault? Let's erase. That's Amari's fault. Because they giving him 18,000 targets a game. Let's know whose fault it is. That's all I'm saying, man. Kellum growing, just not fast enough.
Hey, and to your point on the Cleveland game, that was coaching malpractice. But I felt like how much of that is on Mike McCarthy, for one, starting Terrence Steele when I think all of us were going, Zach Martin's available. We saw what he did in the Seattle game. Right. He can clearly kick over, place, and tackle. That was a huge issue. But when you start the game, isn't that stuff, Nate, where you're kind of – that stuff is pre-planned? Don't they script that kind of stuff? If you're Mike McCarthy,
if you're Mike McCarthy, butt naked, man.
Right.
So butt naked, bro.
How much does Mike McCarthy need to get blamed for that? You're an offensive guy. You're a head coach, and you should be able to walk over to your young Kellen Moore and say, hey, listen, we probably shouldn't do that on the third play of the game against the best pass rusher in the sport and a guy that we're starting at tackle who was undrafted and probably shouldn't be on the field if we're being honest with ourselves. So that's on Kellen Moore, but I also think that has to go on Mike McCarthy as well. Those plays are scripted. I know Mike McCarthy's part of the game plan, so he let that just fly.
Okay, well, I mean, we can all take up for whoever we want. That's why we got stepsisters and brothers, because they can always get blamed. All right.
It sounds like you taking up for Keller there.
Yeah, it does. He covered himself now.
What do you think, Danny? Jump in here, Danny. I want your opinion.
I don't listen. I played with Kellen, and Kellen's a cool guy, man. But I think he makes some questionable decisions. And for all of the Boise State, let's be creative and all that. I just don't. I don't see it. I don't think it's happening. Like I said, I think that he should be able to be a little bit more creative, because that's what he was brought in to do. And some of the stuff that we blamed on Jason Garrett having his hands on last year, Kellen Moore is doing some of the same stuff. So the blame to me is going on Kellen. Back to Amari Cooper. If you have a 4th and inches, if you are going to decide not to give the ball to your $90 million running back to get that 4th and inches, you're not going to throw the ball to CeeDee Lamb. You're going to throw it to the guy that you're paying $100 million. This goes back to the beginning of the year when you had a guy running a crossing route as a rookie. I think it was 4th and 3, and the guy that was running this route is a rookie versus your $100 million guy. To me, when you're drawing up these plays, that's the type of stuff to me that doesn't make sense, and you have to take onus for that. Now, yeah, Mike McCarthy might have something to do with it, but we know going into this, Mike McCarthy said that he's stepping back and he's giving Kellen Moore the opportunity to do this, and that goes throughout the whole team, because I think he gives the special teams coach the opportunity to call whatever he wants to call. That's why we've been seeing all these crazy fake punts, and he gives Kellen Moore the opportunity to call whatever he wants to call on offense, and that's why we see some of this stuff going the way it's going.
And more importantly, did he sing in the group with Colombo them when he the lead singer in Free Reign? They gave him free reign in here too. Huh? Yeah.
Different guy, but good concept.
Okay, yeah. Free reign, baby.
Yeah. Now, like I said, Kellen Moore's not a bad guy. He does do some
great
good things.
Man.
But if I'm the owner, like specifically, if I'm the owner and I'm coming down here and I'm paying Zeke $90 million and I'm paying Amari Cooper $100 million, you are going to find a way to get these guys the ball. And every time you get Amari Cooper the ball, if you see any game where he's involved, we make big plays on offense. We've been lucky to get short fields these last couple games because of turnovers, but when we're forced to make those long drives and have to continue to make big plays, Amari Cooper's going to have to be involved.
Whose job is it? Is it the head coach's job to talk to Kellen and say, we have to do this? Like,
absolutely.
Stop doing what you're doing and you got to do this. Who has that conversation?
Well, if it's not the head coach, who the heck is it going to be? You're the head coach for a reason. You're the Super Bowl guy. You're supposed to be Mr. Offense, right? You're the one who sat back and watched.
You, man.
Mike, I love you too, Nate. I appreciate it.
Wow, I think I listen to the nosebleeds tonight, boy, because once you get on the roll, man, you just believe in that stuff you talk.
I'm going to just keep pounding it, Nate. I'm going to keep pounding it, baby.
That kid, what was the show with the Cosbys? He remind me of his son. He just goes to rambling, Theo. You just like Theo. Just go ahead on.
So you don't agree with that, Nate?
Oh, nah.
Nate, you're Mike McCarthy. You're a Super Bowl winning head coach. You are an offensive mind, and you know that your offensive coordinator is doing something wrong. It's your
next to Mr. Jones. He looked over at him. I would not give up my offensive play calling duties. I've done it once before.
He said it in Green Bay.
That is my strength. A week later, I looked at the tape on Kellen Moore. Boy, he does a great job, man. Kellen. Then 2 weeks into training camp, man, I just back up and let Kellen just have at it. Go ahead on, Kellen. It's your team.
But when you're the head coach, Nate, it's got to be on you. If he's a defensive-minded head coach, it's a different deal.
It's going to be on him. I agree with you, Eric. He comes every week. I noticed the last few weeks, his hat was right here. The last few weeks, it's kind of been up here. We can see his eyes a little bit because you see a little bit of light with this winning. But for the first 16 weeks, he was like right with his hat on. Come on, man.
So, Nate, you're Mike McCarthy, and you know that Kellen Moore's got a crappy set of scripted plays against Myles Garrett.
Right.
You're not going to go knock on his door and say we need to change some things. You're just going to let him
and the offensive line coach. The offensive line coach.
Absolutely. So, but you're the head coach, Nate, and you're the offensive mind, and you're the Super Bowl champ. So you're not going to walk down to his office and say, "Hey, we got to tweak some things."
Hey, I'm gonna get my phone. Look at man. You need to come over to the big dog office.
We
ain't running that.
Thank you.
But that's Nate. That's Nate. But I don't think Mr. Jones is gonna hire me.
Oh, well,
I'm gonna have to say this is what you hired me for. McCray, speak up now. If I'm wrong, tell me.
Nah, you're right, but we 15 now. If I'm McCarthy, I'm not following that sword now. Kellen, it's yours. All right, this is your ship. You can have it. And next year when they ask me what went wrong, say I gave up the play calling duties, and this year I'm taking the onus and I'm calling the plays. But I'm not following that sword now. It's too late. It's too many issues that we've seen, and if you got to answer these questions as a head coach, then you have an issue.
All right, and we have to take a commercial break. Because we don't have any issues. Yes, we don't want issues. So we're going to take our break when we're supposed to, so I don't get in trouble by the producer. How's that? Is that okay with you, Nate?
Yeah, I mean, I thought Eric was our producer.
No, Eric's our guest, Nate.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Eric is our guest. He's not our producer.
You're taking an hour off this man's show. You ought to be producing something.
We're going to take our last break. When we come back, we're going to get to Cowboys, Eagles, and Danny McCray. How did you get into the podcasting sports Cowboys talk business? Because I don't think you wanted any part of that at the beginning of the year, but you know what? You're doing a pretty good job at it. I want to see how you got into that, what you think about it. That and maybe a few more things when we come back. You're listening to Cowboys Crosstalk on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
SWBC Mortgage's Cowboys Crosstalk.
Yeah, check this out.
Broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
SWBC Mortgage, customized solutions to help you meet your personal and business goals. Visit SWBC.com. Shannon Gross live in studio, the SWBC Mortgage Studio at the Star in Frisco, alongside Nate Newton. Eric Chiafalo representing the nosebleed seats, which you guys will kick off here in about 13 minutes or so, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. And then Danny McCray representing the Players Lounge on DallasCowboys.com. Danny, you took this job to head up football camps, and then somehow when the season started, you got sucked into being on a podcast, and I don't think you wanted to have any part of it. How did that happen, and are you enjoying it? Because you do a good job. You do a really good job. That's a fun show you guys have going on over there with you and Church, and who else is on that show with you?
And Nui.
Nui. I love Nui. Nui's such a great dude. How'd that happen? You like it?
Yeah, listen, when I got here, I had no intentions on being on any podcast or doing any radio. And, so I came in, and then Barry Church started coming around the building just a little bit more. And Derek saw us, and he was like, hey, man, I think you guys have a good relationship. The way you guys talk to each other, the banter and all that is really cool. I think you guys would be good on a podcast. So I was like, listen, if Church is down, I'm down, right? Because I'm more comfortable as long as one of my friends is on there. You know, me and Barry Church came in together. We were the only two undrafted rookies our first year at safety. So we both made the team. So we had been through a lot together. So as long as he was on there, I was good. And then we ever since then we've been going, and it's fun, man. It's fun because I get to talk to Church more. I'm getting to know Nui. We get to laugh and joke, especially in this time to where we're not really getting to go outside and be around people. This is kind of a good thing for the situation.
Quick question, because you're not too far removed from the league and not too far removed from this team, and we talk a lot on our show about culture and the building and things like that. And, needing new players to change the culture. What's your opinion and thought on kind of how do you change direction when, obviously this team hasn't had good success in the playoffs in a really long time. They've been hit or miss here or there. What's your opinion on how you change the way things are being done? How do you get back to winning?
How do you get back? Listen, I think a lot of times when you go into looking at teams and their wins and losses, you look at teams like the Patriots and the Seahawks and those guys who have been successful for the last 10 years, and you start to think that it's really easy to be that way. It is not. So when you get those times where the Dez called it game, where you're just one play away from really doing something special, or you get Zeke and Dak's first year where you really a few plays away from doing something special, those are big moments. And you can try to capitalize on that and keep it going, but sometimes it just doesn't work. And I think bringing Mike McCarthy in here, the intention was good for the first year, but COVID hit. We had a lot of situations to where, players weren't able to be together, not a lot of new coaches trying to get this thing going. And we see the result of it to some extent. Now, some of it is players have to take onus, and they have to take control of the locker room, and they have to hold people accountable. And I think in the situation this year, we've seen, things not be that way. You've seen anonymous sources come out talking. You've seen players come out saying we don't have to hustle, every play. And when those type of things come along, that's when you need a change. And I think that came with guys getting let go, guys getting fired. And I think you've seen a fire lit under some of these guys ever since then. Like you said, Nate, things have turned around ever since, Poe got let go and Worley was out of here. Guys realized they were playing for their job. So I think that's the first way to get it started. Let everybody know we're serious about this. And if you're not on the train, then you can catch a bus ticket home.
All right, let's shift gears. I've been promising the whole show we were going to talk about the Eagles. Let's get to it. Eric, you've got your Eagles Kelly Green on, or someone actually just Chris Beam, our wonderful producer on Hanging with the Boys and the Players Lounge, said you're actually a Dolphins fan, and that's why you might have so much angst against Kellen Moore, or you might be on Kellen Moore's side, is because you just want to see the Cowboys fall apart. But what do you think we're going to see here with the Eagles coming to town this weekend?
Well, it's certainly going to be fun. The divisional games are always interesting. There's a lot of bad blood. I know Cowboys fans, for the most part, it seems like the Eagles are the number one team that they want to beat every single year. So to me, it's going to come down to how do you take care of the football offensively. And the Eagles forced 3 turnovers against the Cardinals. That's really what kept them in the game yesterday, and they didn't turn the ball over at all. Now, Jalen Hurts still had 3 fumbles. He just recovered them all, or the Eagles recovered them all. He didn't have any turnovers. So if you can force some turnovers, maybe get a fumble on Jalen Hurts, something like that, but you got to be able to take care of the ball. And how do you defend Jalen Hurts with him and his rushing ability and only having a couple of games on tape to really study him? Danny, you can probably attest to how much more difficult that makes it, or maybe I'm overstating it, but you only have a couple of games of film on Jalen Hurts, so the offense certainly looks a lot different with Hurts running it than it did with Carson Wentz and what Doug Peterson wants to do there. So how do you defend Hurts and his rushing ability? And then can you force any turnovers, and are you going to take care of the football?
Nate, you don't have a whole lot of hope with Jalen Hurts at the helm. What are you thinking?
Well, no, this is my issue. This is my issue. This is my issue. This is my issue.
What's your issue?
This is my issue, and this is what made me get mad at Zeke. Jalen Hurts is a fumbler. Go back to OU last year. He's a fumbler. I watched him in this game. He's a fumbler. Every chance I get, I'm hitting him. I'm hitting them arms, man. I'm tagging them arms. He's gonna fumble the ball. You just gotta be when it pops free. You got to go. You gotta be like a shark, but they call it charm. You got to be a feeding frenzy. He's a fumbler. Watch now. Come on, Wilson.
That's right, Donovan.
Danny, what are you expecting to see this weekend?
Listen, it's tough, man, because, the one thing we haven't been able to do all season is stop the run.
Danny.
And, Jalen Hurts is bringing another dynamic of the running game. Miles Sanders has been able to catch. I'm trying, man. Like Miles Sanders is having a rough year, and then Jalen Hurts gets in there, and all of a sudden he's another spark.
Yes, he is.
So it's just more problems for our defense. And Jalen Hurts, even though he fumbles, he's been out there making some serious plays. So I think for us, we need to force him to make long drives. Usually those rookies, those young guys, when you force them to go 10, 11 plays, they end up making a mistake. You have to stay in your rush lanes, and albeit defensive backs, do not let him throw the ball over your head. And I think we have a good chance of probably not stopping them, but playing that bend but don't break defense. And I think that'll help us. In our offense, get 19 involved.
Eric, I know it's Monday. I don't want to put you on the spot, so if you don't want to go into it this early in the week and ruin your show on the nosebleed seats the rest of the week, it's okay. Do you have a prediction for the game this coming weekend?
Yeah, who Miami playing? Because that's who you really like. Yeah,
we got a tough one Saturday night against the Raiders, baby. Pulling for Tua. Let me go. I do think that ultimately the Cowboys are too dependent on forcing turnovers in order to win football games. So my guess is they won't be able to force the 2 or 3 turnovers where they're able to convert those into easy points. And so I'll just say that the Eagles end up getting the victory here, and Jalen Hurts probably runs for a nice day. Let's go 24-20.
Nate, who you got?
Sorry, Nate.
Go ahead, man. I'm through.
Okay. Danny, who you got?
Man, listen, come on, man. I don't do my pick until Friday on the Players Lounge. Okay. But I'll tell you this: I'm picking the Eagles. I just don't have the score yet.
Oh no!
I got to think more into it on the score. Listen, Nate, I can't lose. All right, if the Cowboys win, I'm good.
There you
if they
go.
Lose, I'm right.
There you go.
I mean, listen, my heart has been broken
Nate,
a lot of times.
15 seconds. Who you got, Nate?
Sorry, Nate.
Okay.
Oh, I act like I was froze. Oh, I got you. Hey, Cowboys for life, baby. Cowboys for life.
What you got, him by half a point or a point?
Hey, whatever it takes, baby.
All right. Hey, fellas, this has been great. Eric, thanks for letting us invade your spot tonight.
Anytime, boys.
Danny, good seeing you, man. Hope to see you soon in person. Nate, thank you. We'll be back same time, same place next week. You're listening to Crosstalk on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!